Should we replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day? Yeah, how about that for a topic to start a little fight in your car on the Tom Kelly Show?
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Here we go. Trigger warning, spoiler alert. Get your ass into the Santa Maria. You are experiencing a quick episode of the Tom Kelly Show. This is the podcast where me, Tom Kelly, basically shares his crazy life, shares unsolicited opinions, owns his midlife crisis, and basically I'm a comedian on a journey, and you're here to follow the growth. I hope you hit subscribe right now if you're new, and I got a fun topic for you. Topic is, should we replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day? My opinion isn't quite as simple as you would think. First, I am half Sicilian, and I love Columbus Day, or I love the idea of it. I love the idea of Christopher Columbus. I realized I'm half Sicilian and was raised by Italian immigrants, and the story of Christopher Columbus for people who came over in the 1940s and the 1950s was maybe different than the actual story that happened. The story was Christopher Columbus, an Italian immigrant, has a big dream in a faraway land, can't make his dream happen at home. So what does Christopher Columbus do? He gets all his money together and goes to Spain, hits up the Queen of Spain to invest in his big dream, gets 3 boats from the Queen, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and then he travels on a lonely quest trying to figure out where the hell America is, and he discovered it, and who'd have thought that crazy guy then becomes successful. Immigrant dream come true. Now, remember, again, telling the fairy tale of Columbus. For the fairy tale people, you know, if you are poor, Columbus was I'm Italian and I can do it too story. You know, and it was taught in schools. And remember, now there's the reality of Christopher Columbus. The reality is, hey, those boats may or may not have carried slaves. And if they didn't carry slaves then, boats just like it would carry slaves later. Also, those boats would lead us to find the Native Americans, where, if not Christopher Columbus, other guys who followed him gave the locals blankets with diseases. I mean, listen, whatever happened to the indigenous people that were here, that was awful. We are a nation built on sin, and we need to remember that as we go forward as a country. So here are the big crazy thoughts. Oh, am I in this guy's way? Nope, here we go. So here are the big thoughts. Should Columbus Day, it is time for Columbus Day to evolve. Look, first of all the Italian immigrants, my grandmother's dead 5 years. The old Italian immigrants who came over here, struggling on boats, and worked with their hands to be here, and lived the awful, oh my God, I'm an immigrant life. Those people are all dying off. They really are. I love them. I respect them. I miss them. Again, my own family here. I'm talking about my own people. I always thought it was time for Columbus Day to evolve. And to what you ask? I always thought Columbus Day should evolve into Immigrants Day. That way it's not just a day about Italian people and eating Zeppelis and whatever. And I don't even know if Columbus Day was really more than just a Monday off here in New York. My grandmother would tell stories about the garment workers, the union she was in. My grandmother worked in basically a high-end sweatshop when she lived here in America. And my grandmother, her story was, my grandmother would always tell the story about how she would have to march in the Columbus Day parade with the garment workers, and that she basically would sign in at DeKalb Street, I think it was. And then wherever the parade was going, she would eventually sneak out a few blocks later. That was the big, like, Kelly family, you know, or my mom's side of the family celebration of Columbus Day. So here's the question. Immigrants Day. If you make it Immigrants Day, if you make Columbus Day Immigrants Day, it's a chance for all immigrants to get on board. You know, how about the people who came from other countries? You know, let's share their stories. Let's celebrate those ancestors, because this is a country built on the land of Indigenous people, and it's built on the land and dreams of immigrants. Or actually, let's rephrase that. America is a country built on the land of Indigenous people, but it's also a country built on the dreams of immigrants and people who came here from somewhere else. And we forget that nowadays. You know, we forget that, especially right now with the migrant crisis. I think a Immigrants Day is important. You know, people who came to avoid hardships somewhere else came to America to get something done. That's my thought on that. Now,
beyond my abilities at the moment.
All right, Siri just said that may be beyond my abilities at the moment. God, Siri, you're so right. Now, why not make it Indigenous People Day? I actually like the idea of there being an Indigenous People Day. Just not on Columbus Day. This whole thing of, oh my God, we have to tear down the statues of Columbus. No, I don't know if we do. I think we have to tell the stories of two Columbuses. I think we have to tell the story of the fairy tale of Columbus, which is the fairy tale that, you know, my grandfather would tell me, blah, 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 blah. And we also have to tell the story of real Columbus. The fact that one man's dream did lead to the destruction of people. You know, what lessons can we learn? What were the awful things that were done? You know, that stuff should all be talked about. And I think just doing it, if you take away Columbus Day, gosh, that sounds so easy. But then it makes growing divisive. By blaming the children for the sins of the father, it's hard to take a side, because now we're just shaming people for just being born. You know, I mean, just put that in your pocket. I do like the idea of an Indigenous People Day, just on another day. Like, you know, listen, I always think that too. We screwed up Juneteenth. I like the idea of there being a Juneteenth, but the problem with adding a second Monday holiday during the summer is there aren't kids in schools to teach them the lessons about Juneteenth. You know, I mean, you know, again, what's the point of a federal holiday? It's one, it's to honor something that happened. But two, it's to educate people. So I do believe there should be an Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm incredibly ignorant on the issues and, you know, history of Indigenous people. You know, I mean, and I live in a town called Massapequa. I live in a town that is a Native American town. A town built on Native American land. I am ignorant. And you know what? An Indigenous People Day, maybe that's a chance for me to learn a couple of things. But not at the expense of Columbus Day. Not at the expense of the fairy tale of you can come to America, do something amazing, and live a better life. And again, it is a fairy tale. Columbus is a fairy tale, and we should be saying that too. So listen, folks, if you're new to the program, I swear, normally we're a lot funnier. Oh, I wanted to use the phrase, Immigrants Day could be the day to celebrate Canadians who came here on pogo sticks. Yeah, whatever. If you are new to the program, come, hit subscribe, hit like, and that's about it. There'll be new and better shows every Monday and Wednesday. On your audio apps, hit subscribe there. And of course, on YouTube, hit subscribe there. And if you like the content, hit share. Until next time, friends, good night, Massapequa.